Bachelor number one. This is nice and easy. What are girls for?
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Room Went Dark, the true crime and film where we discuss film, TV and documentaries based on real events. I'm your host Lorraine and I'm joined by my co-host Amalie. Hello Amalie.
Good day.
Good day. Good morning. It's very
Good day
early.
too.
What time is it?
It is early.
10:20. Yeah.
Yeah. Early morning podcast recordings. Yeah, it's good fun.
You got to fit them in when you can, really.
Exactly.
And this week we are doing one based on a serial killer called Rodney Alcala, and it is a film called The Woman of the Hour. And it's based on one of the contestants in the TV show The Dating Game, and her name was Cheryl Bradshaw, and she actually picks him as her guy that she's going to go out on a date with. So Anna Kendrick got hold of this story and she made a film back in 2023 on Netflix. She directed it. It was written by Ian MacDonald, and she actually starred as Anna Kendrick, as Cheryl Bradshaw. And she's this struggling actress in LA. So she's kind of trying to get what she can, a lot of failed auditions. And then she gets offered this chance to appear on The Dating Game. And thinking going on here, because apparently some other celebrities have gone on and done this, and this is a way of getting yourself seen on telly. I think, what's her name? Sally Field did it back in the day and everything.
Right.
So she wants to be seen, and she ends up just having a bit of fun, and she picks Rodney Alcala, who is played by Daniel Zavato, and because he seems to be saying all the right things, but it isn't long before she realizes that she's made a big mistake.
Yes.
Had you heard of him before?
Only because I'd already watched Woman of the Hour
Oh, right,
previously.
okay.
But so yeah, so before that, no. Before this film,
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was at all.
Okay. Yeah, no. So if you didn't know who he was, I think as you know, we're fine watching this, and I know I always find this is a strange thing to say, but some serial killers kind of bother you more than others, you know?
Sure.
And while they're all pieces of shit, some of them are just a little bit more pieces of shit. And this one is, I even struggle to look at him, the real life him, you know? I
Mm.
really struggle with him. But he was born Rodney James Alcala and on August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas. He and his siblings were raised by his mother in Los Angeles, and his family was abandoned by his father. At 17, he would join the army but get discharged in 1964 after he was diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder after having a breakdown. And he would attend UCLA and then NYU. And apparently, he studied with Roman Polanski, you know, the film
Yeah.
director who was married to Sharon Tate, who unfortunately was murdered alongside her unborn baby by the Manson cult back in 1969. And Alcala had a way, which you can really see in this film, that it comes across and obviously in real life, because in real life she did also pick him, of making people trust him, you know. And one woman who had a missed meeting with him in 1975, she was meant to meet him. She said he was so easy to trust. He had a way of talking to people that really put them at ease. But once he had them, his true, you know, self would emerge, and he ended up killing 8 women between 1971 and 1979. But they do think that the number was a lot higher, which wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. They reckon it's up to like 130, don't they?
Yeah, they do say that with a lot of like I personally think with serial killers, like maybe some of them, but a lot of them, I think it's more, especially when you kind of see them in court and stuff, and when they talk and they're really not giving a lot away because, you know, they kind of like the idea of having that information to themselves. It's something for them type thing, you know,
Yeah.
or taunting. Like someone would be like, oh, do you think he killed my daughter? And he, you know, the serial killer, I'm not telling, you know, this type of thing.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
this power
sure.
thing still, isn't it? The one last thing.
Yeah.
But with this, like why it is based kind of on true events, the story that we see with Cheryl is different to, you know, what actually happened in real life. Because after she picked him, she got a bad feeling because we see the guy, don't we, pick him and go,
Mm,
he's an asshole. Um, and she did get a strange feeling about him, and she decided not to go on the date with him.
yeah.
So that, she didn't actually go with him in the end.
Well, because he like waited for her, didn't he? And they went for like a drink in a bar,
They
didn't
went for
they?
a drink, yeah, because like I think when this film starts, it's very much of its time, isn't it, in
Yeah,
the 70s, like where the way she's kind of treated, even by her neighbor, you know, he gets arsy with her because she doesn't kind of, light up like whenever he walks by her or something.
yeah.
She kind of adapts to suit his mood and to make him feel more comfortable. Like we see in the bar, her make a comment and he gets a bit arsy, and she's like trying to make it all better.
Hmm.
Not much has changed really, has it, in this day and age? Um, but yeah, so you can see, and obviously that was a time where in TV, women were kind of, come on, doll, get up there, look good. You got a nice body,
Oh,
do
me, yeah.
do the thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Even at the beginning, when she's sort of going for the auditions,
Yeah,
there's this kind of psychological undercurrent all the way through of just
yeah,
sort of, I guess misogyny. But it's just so subtle in places and then very obvious in others, but there's just this constant current of just, yeah, I guess, um, male power, going
yeah.
on all the way through it.
Yeah, there
Really well
there is a
done.
lot, and it's kind of you can see with her though, which was probably a case with a lot of women and always has been, is she's trying to kind of like stand her ground, but she's
Mm.
being shot down like they might as well pat her on the head and go, bless, on your way. Like, do you know what I mean? It's very patronizing. But
But she deals with it in the way that a lot of women do, which is that
mm,
kind of fawn response, that
yeah,
kind of the equivalent of like a prey animal kind of showing its belly to the predator. You
yeah,
know? Like even in conversations when she's sort of like, "Oh, I'm probably making this awkward," even though it's
yeah,
them that's making it awkward. There's this very
yeah.
kind of like playing to their ego, trying to keep herself safe. It's really well done, like in the way that they kind of show that
Mm.
power and that dominance that men have, and how women feel at times very necessarily for survival and safety to sort of like fawn response to it. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
good.
because at the beginning, like say you go into this show, not into this film, not knowing who he is, or even not knowing if it's a true story or not. Like, because sometimes we watch stuff
Mm,
and you find out that it was true, and you're like, can't believe this is true. We do see that bit at the beginning with Rodney where he takes a woman for a photo shoot. And she's
mhm.
very vulnerable. And I don't mean that just from a point of view that they're in the middle of nowhere and she's isolated and he's the only one there. I mean, she's going through it. She's pregnant. She's her fella's left her,
Yeah.
she's kind of on her own and she's emotional. And he's like really understanding and he's like listening
Mm.
and he's the good guy, like, and you can see her. She's almost like, and that's one thing you see with him. He does it the same with the girl that he helps move in. He really knows how to make you feel like he gives you his attention
Yeah,
and
he
he
knows the right
listens
things to say,
and he says the right things. Like he's a
Yeah,
predator. He knows what he's doing. Um,
absolutely.
but then we see obviously that he unfortunately kills this woman, which, he did in real life. He did kill a girl who was pregnant. And so when he goes into this dating game, like we as the audience are going, I hope she doesn't pick this guy. Because even whether there's films true or
Sure.
not, you're like, I hope she doesn't pick this guy because this guy's a murderer, murderer, like, what I mean? He's
Yeah.
kills people. Um, so from the offset, but we also get to see, which I think is something you do see with Rodney Alcala in his interviews and stuff, is that I always find it fascinating when actors are able to change their faces like that, the way
Mm.
they do. They look so lovely and welcoming, and the next thing you're like, they just look so evil and dead,
Mm.
and there's nothing there but horror. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the emotional range, isn't it? I
Yeah.
remember when I did drama at school, I mean, I probably couldn't do it anymore, but I used to be be quite good at being able to do that. But
Be a psycho.
yeah, yeah, go from sort of like ee to like
Good
I
to
thought
know.
I would,
Good to know.
yeah, good. Yeah, but I think it's a good. I mean, it's a good. If you're going to be an actor, it's an amazing
Yeah.
skill to be able to use. But it also does lend itself to, yeah, I guess that psychopathy of like, yeah, serial killers and predatory
Yeah.
men. But yeah, I kind of just want to point out as well though, like, for the women in the world that have ever dated like an absolute narcissist
Mm.
arsehole, and have gone, oh, like, how did I not see the signs? This is a really good film to kind of make you understand that sometimes you don't see the red flags at all.
Yeah, because they're
Because
not there at the
Well, they're
start.
not there in terms.
Yeah.
No, they're not. There was nothing. The bit I really liked actually was when they finally meet on the dating game.
Yeah.
She's chosen him, and they zoom in on him
His
sort
hand.
of placing his hand
Yeah.
on certain areas.
Bit too high.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a thing, isn't it, that there's
Mm.
certain areas of the body that predators tend to sort of lean
Yeah.
to, like, they might hold you by the wrist or like hold you by the neck or all these different areas of the body. And it was quite a good sort of like show, I guess,
Yeah.
of that. But in terms of actually talking to him, he said all the right things. He
Yeah.
seemed like a very decent, well-meaning person on the show. You wouldn't necessarily spot a red flag at all. You think, oh, he's a very, he's respectful. He's respectful towards women, and obviously he's absolutely not. But
But you hear that also, like we did an episode a couple of weeks ago about the Ed Gein one,
mm,
and all you heard was he was so nice. He was this, that, and the, and that's
yeah,
the thing.
it's
And it's not
yeah,
even just, women that they actually try to get. It's more as well, like you hear it all the time about how I can't believe it's him. No way. He was always such a nice guy. He always helped out with helping you with your yard or whatever. He was, and that's the thing. They're able, and that's the scary thing, really, isn't it? Is that they're able to put
mm,
on such a display. But I think as well, we have to kind of sometimes take people as they are, as nice, because you do meet people that are nice and they continue to be nice and they don't go off and kill people. If someone's nice to you, you're not going to automatically go in and go, hey, he's full of shit, that one, he's not nice, is he? He's probably a serial killer, because that'd be unreasonable. But I think that's why this film perfectly shows that why, especially as women, we are on high alert all the time, unfortunately, because there's someone in the room with you.
Harper.
All right, the dog.
Flapping
That's
her little
fine.
ears. Sorry, she's passed out asleep.
That's fine. But there, we are on high alert all the time because of it starts off. So, you even hear about people, they get married, and as soon as they're married, the guy becomes a slob. He won't lift his finger. It's abusive in some sort of way. It doesn't have to be physical, you know? And
Yeah.
that's why just because someone's nice to you, you can't take that as that's who they are. And I think that's one thing this film does show, because when she goes on that show, it's almost like he's standing up for her, because that other guy turns around, he's basically like, yeah, she get on her knees, like, type thing. He's a bit of he's a jerk. He's not a
Mm.
serial killer. Oh, well, as far as we know, but he's an asshole. Like, do you know what I mean? He is an
Yeah.
asshole the way he's talking. And Rodney Alcala comes to her rescue, you know? I would never do that. And he tells on him,
Yeah.
you know?
About the bra size, yeah. The
Yeah,
foot size.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So he's saying, have you ever watched the actual footage of him on the dating game?
No, I need to. It's one thing I
Oh,
want to go
it's
away and have a look
honestly,
at.
it's so cringe because, and to be honest with you, she's quite cringe on it too. But I think from what we can see, I think they're kind of told what to say, what questions to ask, because obviously
Yeah.
this Cheryl changes it up a bit, and she's very intelligent and she's very quick, you know what I mean, to answer and stuff like that. And she doesn't, that whole thing we were talking about before about how making them comfortable, she does not do that at
Mm.
that part. All gloves are off, like, do you know what I mean?
On the real
Oh, the real one. That was it. Oh, the real one.
She follows it down to a
Yeah,
T. It's
down to the
very
T.
kind
And
of
she's
like,
like, at
yeah.
one point, she goes, so Cheryl asks him a question in the film, you're a professor, what would you do? And he goes, I'd ask you, to bend over backwards to get, this type
Oh
of thing. So
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
little bit of stuff in there, but it's all very mild, But in this other thing, oh God, it's honestly, when I think about it, that secondhand embarrassment. And she's like, I'm your drama teacher. And she's like, you're a naughty little boy. And he's like, come over here, like that. And honestly, it's just like, but his face. And then at the end, he's got this biggest smile on his face. And it's so, I mean, he doesn't need to be a serial killer in that moment for us to be creeped out. Do you know that way? You would just be like,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
So it's played very different, I personally think, from the show to this.
Yeah.
But he's someone that I would feel very uncomfortable around anyway. It wouldn't have made me,
Yeah.
I would not have picked him in it. From watching it myself, I wouldn't have picked him. I would have picked one. I think I there was another one I said I would have picked him. I can't remember which one.
Really?
Yeah, there was
What from
from the
watching
real one.
oh
From the
watching
real
the real
one.
one. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
there was
gonna
one.
say, really?
Oh
From
no, I would
not
have picked. No,
watching
I
the
was like, I don't need any of them in here.
film.
But I think what's interesting with this is while all this is going on, we have that girl in the audience
Yeah.
that spots him.
Was that was the case as well, wasn't it, in real
Yeah,
life
I
that
think there
someone
was
had
there was something there because there was a
called him a
girl. I
miso?
think her name I want to say is Monique. Was it Monique?
Monique. Yeah.
Yeah, who basically had an encounter, but of course, in true typical style, wasn't listened to, like we see
No.
in here. Like she's just left for the guy who turns out to be the janitor. And I
Yeah.
think that's a thing, isn't it? Like no one wants to listen to her, even her boyfriend.
Oh, that scene in the in the car when she's divulging it and he's like, "Are you sure?" But you're not positive,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Come on!" Like everything about her, like the way that her body's reacted, all of it, you can
Mm.
absolutely tell that she knows what she's seen and she knows she needs to report.
Oh, she's terrified.
Yeah, that's an interesting part that I think a lot of women we don't because of the years of sort of being, oppressed by men and particularly that kind of crazy making and that kind of minimizing and gaslighting
Yeah.
effect where we're taught to doubt ourselves and our own
Yeah.
opinions and our
You sure? Maybe you've
yeah,
just been
you
friendly.
sure? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
being a bit hysterical.
Yeah.
It's a long history of that,
Mm.
and I feel like Anna Kendrick does a really good job of, even when she goes on the date with the neighbor initially, you can
Yeah.
tell she wants to go home. She's not
Mm.
interested in sleeping with him,
No, but she
but
does.
she does, and you can see the kind of like internal kind of inner turmoil where her brain's like, I don't want to, or her body is actually, I don't want to do this, but her brain's
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to like, upset him or,
Mm.
and this kind of these moments where she could have made choices. She has an option to make a choice.
Yeah.
And quite often you see her going against what she actually really wants to do. It's like her body's kind of saying, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to say yes to this. But her brain's like, no, we've got to say yes to this.
Yeah.
Or like,
She's
we
making the
probably
choice for
should.
him, not herself,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
his comfort.
And a lot of the time I think, when you're in the presence of someone who is quite predatory, I think probably from a young age, sometimes we're conditioned to find that think that as attraction, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And obviously, the older you get, you kind of realize that actually it's creepy and disgusting, and
Well,
it's
it's
a
that whole
massive
thing,
red
isn't it?
flag.
He picked, he must like you because he's
Yeah,
being a
yeah, yeah.
dick, you know?
That kind of love bombing stage where they sort of like really
Yeah.
lay out all the groundwork very quickly and try and reel you in,
Yeah.
and it feels wonderful when you're younger, but it's, when
Yeah.
you, I mean, hopefully when you get to a certain age, you kind of realize that it's just predatory behavior and it's massive red flags. Um, and luckily, with the amount of sort of psychology and use of internet these days, I'm hoping young women are starting to kind of realize that quite quickly and things like that. But it's just, yeah, it's yeah, just the sort of the way that they were able to kind of show those moments of
Yeah.
sort of like going against what she actually
Well, everything you
wanted to
actually
do.
want, yeah. Because even
Yeah.
like when she goes for a drink with him
Mm,
and she's because do you see the bartender? Like he's like, "Can we have another one?" And the bartender looks
yeah.
at her and she just goes like that, and then she's like,
Just shakes
"Sorry, we're
her
done."
head.
And then the number, because she's obviously already made her mind up, she doesn't want to see him. And he's like, "Oh, we need to talk about going on our date." And she gives him a number. He goes, "What's the number again?" Like even just thinking like that, if someone gave me their number, if I asked a man for his number and he gave it to me, I wouldn't be like, read it to me so I can see. Because I'd be like, if this is the wrong number, he just didn't know how to tell me. I'm not going to humiliate myself
Sure.
and ask, is it right?
Yeah.
Um, Whereas, today we kind of do it, just put it in my phone and then they say, ring me so I have your number. That's how we would kind of do it more today. But
Yeah.
for the days of writing it down, I wouldn't then say, read it back to me. But he did. I wouldn't even think of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and she's like, well, I gave it to you. And then he goes, she basically tells him not going. And you can see her. She's terrified. And it's really dark. But luckily that
Yeah.
those people come out the side.
Oh, that like as she's sort of like walking quickly across the
Yeah.
parking
And
lot to
him.
get into a
Yeah.
car, and he's just in the background
Mm.
walking parallel with her, like as a sh like in a
Yeah.
shadow, and you're
Yeah.
just like, oh God, go go
I
go
didn't
go
know what was
go!
going to
Like
happen.
why, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know what was going to happen with that. But yeah, she was terrified. And then I think the thing with her, because her story kind of almost ends there, because she decides to go back home. She's not getting anywhere in LA. She can't afford it. And she goes back home and,
mm,
like the actual real person. And nobody really knows what has gone on with her. And I think, it's best not to go looking. She's kind of made her decision, you know, I had this experience. And I think that probably happens
yeah,
to some people. They've probably had experiences and never spoken about it because
yeah,
it's just too much. But like one person that did, who we just mentioned, was Monique, and that was based on
yeah,
the character Amy, played by Autumn Best. And I thought that was an interesting one because again, he took her out to this remote place and everything, and the way he hit her over the head. But it was
yeah,
interesting when they woke up and he's crying,
mm,
but she plays that so smart. Will you do me a favor and not tell anyone about this? Because, and
very clever.
again, they'll judge me because what will be said? Well, you shouldn't have went out there with him. You didn't know him. Why did you do it? Not
Mm,
one bit of blame will be put on him
yeah.
because she survived it as well. Even if she hadn't survived it, people would have still blamed her,
Yeah, well, yeah,
you know?
at that point as well, and the the decade that it was in, I imagine, yeah, there would have been. But again, that's a fawn response, this kind of like, oh, it's my fault. Things got crazy last night. Like, please don't tell
Yeah.
anybody that, what we've done. And, and actually it works massively in her favor because she's playing to his ego completely.
Oh,
He
yeah.
thinks he's kind of gotten away with it. He doesn't actually have to kill her because she doesn't seem to think what he's done is a bad thing. Like, she thinks she's sort of taking the
Yeah.
personal blame and
My fault. Yeah.
responsibility of it.
Yeah.
So he's kind of gets let off the hook and he's like, okay, well, I don't need to, you know. I
But
don't
he,
need to kill her, but yeah.
when he drives to the petrol station and he's so confident, he gets out and goes to the toilet and
Yeah,
leaves her.
yeah,
And that's when she sees her moment to run. And she does call the police and he gets
yeah.
arrested and he made bail by his mother apparently.
Ugh,
And but the police again, they didn't take it seriously. The incompetence is painful. I mean, if you look at a lot of true crime, especially in the 70s, like,
mm,
and if you were a sex worker, God help you, you
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
mean anything. I think they even a lot of them would refer to them as bodies.
Oh, jeez.
Not even a female, not even a male, not even, well, it was usually female. I think male sex workers would have probably got the same treatment as well, but they weren't as there as much, but
Yeah,
or talked about as much. But they were very dismissed, and this girl here would have been a runaway, and like we
sure.
said, you went off with him.
Yeah.
So he made bail, and apparently two more women died after that, and one of them was only a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, I think this is the bit that the film
Yeah,
doesn't show is that the Alcala's not just a murderer of adults. Like
no,
he is a
yeah.
predator to minors, essentially,
Well,
and
as
more than
well,
one.
look at Talia, like the little girl Talia.
Yeah,
He I think wasn't she 8 or something?
She
She
was
was
really young. Yeah.
I got it on here because I
Shapiro,
remember.
wasn't it? Tally Shapiro. And
Yeah,
so she was 8 years old at the time, and he'd, yeah. I mean, maybe we don't need to say what's it. If you want to Google it and look at it, you can, I guess. But
yeah,
um
because I mean, she's lucky she's here. Put it that way. She's
yeah, I
lucky
can't
she's
believe
here.
she survived, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
nor
But
can
there
I.
was something, I can't remember if it was her, but there one of the survivors, who was a minor, the parents moved her to Mexico, and later on when he was arrested,
She
they'd
came
asked,
forward.
no, so she didn't. They asked her, this youngster,
Oh yeah,
to
as a kid,
testify,
no.
and the parents
Yeah,
said no, we're not
no.
allowing it.
Yeah,
So
not as a kid.
he got away with it
Yeah,
basically, and then went on to murder more people.
yeah.
So there's all these different, it's just fascinating that the amount of, like, I guess, just like the it, like, how do I say it? Incompetence, quite honestly,
Oh, massive
of
incompetence.
a lot of, systems and institutions that have allowed him to kind of get away with what he's gotten away with. Just like, yeah,
Yeah, no,
crazy.
yeah, because Talia was so little, and to be fair, I get that not putting her through it when it happened.
Sure.
Um, so that's understandable. And I'm not being funny because I think she was like 8 or something. I mean, she was really young. She was
She was
very
really
young.
young.
Talia was
Yeah.
very young. Um, and but I think when he did, and with Robin, I think yeah, that finally kind of, well, luckily finally got him put behind bars. But
Yeah.
it still took as well, like people coming, Monique, for instance, you know, it's just the fact that why aren't they believed the first time, and I think and the thing is, if this was just like a
Yeah.
one-off,
It's a
that
tale
slipped
as old
through
as
things,
time, though, isn't it?
yeah,
It's still
it just,
happening today, where women are, in different, in America, in like different states, right, are going and saying about this particular person, and they've done this, uh, and it's just not getting dealt with,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, it's not. And especially I suppose if you have survivors as well, they like this, like Talia and Monique, like they've lived for how many years with this? Here they're calling her Morgan. Maybe that was another one.
It might have
What?
been another one. I know that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's loads, isn't it? You've got Monique Hoyt is, she was 15, I think. And that was, um in maybe 1979, I think.
Yeah.
And I think she was hitchhiking at the time in Riverside County. Um and he drove her to his apartment
Yeah,
and
that's
assaulted her there.
yeah, the little girl got assaulted in an apartment as well because a cop showed up, and
That's,
he's the
yeah, and
reason.
Saul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
they
reason that
saw
she
him taking her in.
survived basically.
Yeah,
Um and I think someone saw something and said it, and then the police showed up, which is good. But
yeah,
he said like it was nothing. Like that's what you got to think about is there are obviously some good policemen out there, but you can imagine that walking into that. Yeah, she was 8 and walking into that, and you know just seeing this little girl's body because had he been 10 minutes later, she probably would have been dead. You
yeah,
know. Um, she did later talk, but she was an adult when she spoke about it.
yeah.
And helped, I think, what's it say, 2010, um, for him to be on death row. But he died naturally. Like I don't think didn't die on death row.
Yeah,
Um,
no, he died whilst in incarceration, isn't it? I
yeah,
think I think it was Morgan Rowan that I think you're thinking of, and she had got in contact after he died.
right,
Um
okay, okay,
and she's got in contact with I think Hodel, which was like one of the original investigators in the Shapiro case,
yeah,
in like Tally Shapiro's case. And they're described being attacked by Alcala back in 1968 when she was just 16.
Yeah.
So she'd claimed that she'd been living in Hollywood. She'd been approached by him at a teen nightclub on Sunset Strip, and had entered his car believing that he'd drive her to like a restaurant, I
Yeah.
think. And instead he drove her to his apartment a few blocks away. And I think said that he was like having a party or something. Um, and when they arrived, Alcala like dragged Rowan into his bedroom and
Yeah.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, Monique was the one that was based on the Amy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Um,
apparently like friends of hers, it was her friends that and like acquaintances that managed to rescue her. They'd like basically
back the door
bashed
in.
down the doors and like got in there and managed to get her out. Um, yeah.
Here's the thing, because like with the other ones we've done, like we obviously had Charlize Theron playing Aileen Wuornos, but with the Ed Gein
Mm,
ones we did, they weren't necessarily someone playing Ed Gein.
yeah.
How do you think that the actor did? Because that's one thing, like we were saying about the look and stuff like that. Like, how do you think the actor did with portraying him?
I think they I think I think with Theron and Warnos it was really like quite to the T, like the
Yeah.
the the kind of um
Felt like she was
emulating
playing her, whereas
her,
this felt like a
yeah.
version of him
Yeah,
more.
this felt like
Yeah.
a different version. And I quite
Mm,
like that. Again, like you were saying with Anna Kendrick and the version that she played on the dating show
yeah.
wasn't the same as the person that was on the real life
Yeah.
dating game. And it was nice that they kind of, made it their own in a way, but still followed,
Yeah.
the
The
story
story.
the
Yeah.
story of those women. Because that's what the film is about. It is about the
Yeah.
women. It's not
Yeah.
about him.
No.
It's about them and their experiences. I still think of like the poor woman, the flight attendant who's just like, "Hey, you, come help
Oh,
me move my stuff in." She's like 23 years old,
oh,
and you
that
just
one.
think, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, wrong, like
Yeah.
completely wrong place, wrong freaking time,"
And
Like,
that was a part as well, like with the girl at the beginning, when you could see she's like, I'm making a connection here. I'm really enjoying
yeah,
chatting to this guy. Like, do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's just like, and you see her through that kind of like blurred glass that she's fighting for her life. Like she put up a good fight, and
yeah,
he's obviously just too strong for her. But
yeah. This
um,
is Cornelia Crilly, isn't it? We should name her
yeah,
because she's, I don't know. It was just something about even just in the film watching that bit. It just, there's just something about it that just felt really.
yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you know
they're
why?
all
Because it's such a
unfortunate.
normal
Like, yeah,
situation to be in.
yeah, yeah.
Like how
Like
many,
a
but you
nice
could
enough
probably talk.
guy helps her
Yeah.
out. Like,
So many people are just like, oh, can you give us a hand? Yeah, sure. You
no
know,
problem.
no
Yeah.
thinking, not thinking anything of it. Like, do you know what I mean? And
You wonder why women don't trust people.
I know. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a very, I think, like you said, I think Kendrick did a good job with kind of like, intertwining the stories, telling the stories of these women, especially, Amy and herself, that kind of thing. But without,
yeah,
I don't feel like it was, because sometimes you watch these things, and I kind of got this with, and that's why I haven't been able to watch them, is with Dahmer and Geen, the Monster series. I haven't even tried the Menendez one because they feel too, let's make this all like snazzy and weird and, bells and whistles and
yeah.
stuff like that. Whereas I feel like with this, she was telling us a story, and she,
100%.
yeah, and I didn't
Yeah.
feel like she was trying to make it something that it wasn't, because as I always say about these true crime stories, they're bad enough. You don't need to sensationalize it in a way that we go, oh my
No.
God, Jesus, this is amazing. Like, you're not supposed to come away from this film going, oh my God, that's amazing. What an amazing story and stuff like that. You're supposed to
Yeah.
come away, actually feeling something or discussing it, or, how did they tell the story? Were they sympathetic, did they show respect and how they told it. And I think she
Yeah.
does in this, and I think with some stuff they don't. They just want to make this serial killer into an even bigger monster, and they're bad enough as it is. You don't need to try and shock us. The story's
No.
shocking enough,
Yeah.
because then to me you're taking away, you're using the serial killer for entertainment rather than telling the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what this they did well here. And I think they did that quite well in Monster too, but not
Yeah.
the Monster Eileen Warnes one, not the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was, and now this is her first thing at directing, so
Yeah, well, and she, we don't go into it too much because it is her private life, but she did sort of credit, it was this one and I think Alice Darling, which I haven't watched yet, but
mm,
I would like to watch, that she kind of credited to either as inspiration or during the point that she was, filming
yeah,
it, that she'd kind of noticed the parallels between within her own personal life
yeah,
and the relationship that an emotionally abusive relationship that she'd
yeah,
had for like over 6 years. And I think sometimes the best people that can really
yeah,
get into something like that and be able to understand it are people that have gone through it themselves. So there's moments in films where you can really feel it because you kind of know a little bit about their personal
mm,
life and you know that they've gone through that
yeah,
before. I don't know why, but for some reason, like Love Actually's popped into my head when I think about Emma Thompson and the moment when she
oh,
finds out that her husband's cheating. And I remember the interview of her saying like, well, I knew how to act that because it happened to me, you know. Sorry, Kenneth Branagh, I do love you, but you hurt my Emma Thompson. Um, but yeah, so it's it is incredible acting at points when you can really see
yeah.
them be able to step into it in that way. And I just think she did an amazing job to make you really think about the psychological side of it all. It's definitely a psychological thriller, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think I like her as an actress anyway overall,
I
but I
do.
think with this, I don't know anything about her private life, if I'm honest with you. Um, and yeah, you felt like she had some sort of experience with some sort of trauma. I didn't know what that trauma was. I knew it wasn't serial killer trauma, but
Sure.
you felt that she had something that she could, and I think there is a lot of thing for women is like it doesn't necessarily have to be a partner, but I think, and this isn't me saying that all blokes are bad because they're not, but we do experience it. It can be from like a parent, a brother, a cousin, you know what I mean? So, it's not just the guy you're with.
Yeah.
Um, but you hear stories and you see, sisters being treated differently than brothers and they get a bit more, you know, leeway than you do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can kind of take from a lot of things. So I feel like a lot of women could probably take from, because even I've been out at nights and I've been abused by guys just simply because I don't want to talk to them, and
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
try it nice first. I'm like, oh, and even when I was single, I'd be like, oh, I'm seeing someone, and that's not enough. And you keep, I don't have a problem with someone approaching me and asking me. That is completely fine.
Sure.
That's how we meet each other. But take my answer,
Yeah.
accept what I've said to you. It may not be the answer you want. Do you not think I've been turned down by blokes that I've liked? Of course I have. But I just bloody get on with it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's tis life, you
Oh, it's like,
know?
I remember having one experience where I was out and someone had come up and sort of and I said, "Oh, um,
Hmm.
thank you, but I'm engaged and
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, but you're not married, are you? Can I buy you a drink?" And I
There's
was
still
like,
time. There's still time.
"No." Like like
If I go out
honestly,
for a drink, I won't be getting married. That's the problem. Yeah, you dump me.
you're
Um,
like, but there's not a ring on your finger yet, and you think, Christ,
yeah,
just
but you know what? For some, even when there is a
take it
ring
as a
on that finger,
no.
even when there is a ring on that
Yeah,
finger, it
exactly.
doesn't, you know.
I mean that's one of a many, and I think all women can. I think every
Yeah.
single woman, quite honestly, can
Well,
pull from their memory a
every
point
woman I
where
know's got a story,
a hundred
you know.
percent, yeah, yeah,
I don't like being rejected, but I accept it.
Sure
you know.
thing. Like it's not difficult to have respect for someone that's like, no, thank you, appreciate the offer, but no, thank. Okay, no worries.
I
You know,
was rejected once because they fancied my mother.
what? You're
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, they told me I fancied them for years. This is at school. And I was like in love with them. And
No.
we met up a few years later. We just bumped into each other and we got chatting. And I said, how come me and you never got together? You know, because it was all done dusty. He goes, can I be honest with you? I said, Jane. He goes, I always fancied your mother. And I was like, that's what a
Oh
girl
my
wants to
goodness.
hear.
You're like,
But you know
oh,
what? I
great.
just laughed it off because I thought it was funny. It just,
Did it make you rethink about your entire friendship though? Like the amount of time, like did they ever come over to your house?
no, we
Oh right,
weren't like
okay.
that. No. But my parents, everyone, because my parents were very young looking, they used to
Okay,
think
yeah.
they were my siblings.
No way.
Yeah, they used to think my brother and my dad and my mum were my siblings because they were that young looking when
Okay.
I was a teenager. They looked like they were in their early 20s. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Oh, that's hard. Like I grew up with friends that fancied my brother, but I
oh, I've
can't.
had that. Oh, so
Yeah.
many of my friends fancy my brother.
Yeah, I imagine.
Jesus. I've
I
even
think we
heard
can both
from,
probably relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
yeah,
yeah,
no, never my mum, thankfully, or my dad, thankfully. Thank God, thank goodness. I don't think I could have coped with that. I
but
did
you,
have, we did have, I can't remember who. Oh, yes. I had one friend in college who all of us thought her dad was
yeah,
a good-looking guy. We'd call him the DILF, which
yeah.
was terrible looking back. You're just like, that's your dad. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know, because believe me, it's not nice to hear when your friends are talking about
No,
your
it's
dad.
not.
I've
It's
had that.
weird. Because you're like, what are you supposed to say with that? You're like,
Ew.
that's creepy. Please don't.
It's really creepy. But yeah, rounding up on this one, I do just want to leave it with one thing. When it comes to the survivors, I agree, we leave them alone. If they want to be left alone, leave them alone. Don't go digging.
Absolutely.
But as we said, the piece of shit died on July 24th, 2021 at the age of 77. And I will leave this episode with a quote from survivor Tali Shapiro. And she said, the planet is a better place without him, that's for sure. I've moved on with my life, so this doesn't really affect me. It's a long time coming, but he got his karma. And I thought, what a great way for you to think,
Yeah.
you know? Exactly. Fuck him,
Yeah.
you know?
100%. Yeah.
You
And
know?
don't and I'm glad that she doesn't let her life, be
Yeah.
dictated
Because she
by.
was very young and
Yeah.
he didn't get her, which I wish he hadn't got any of them. That is our woman of the hour.
Woman of the Hour. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it.
It is a good film.
It's a good film. It's really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, if you want to give us any rating and reviews, you can go to Apple or Spotify. Spotify.
Spotify. So there's a
or even
slight
or even Spotify. Spotify, whichever one you want, if you're a Spotifyer. And you can follow us behind the scenes on Instagram and TikTok at The Room Went Dark, and you can email us with all those amazing comments at theroomwentdark@gmail.com, and we will be back next week with a kind of different film, even though it is about serial killers, called the 1995 film Copycat. So we will chat to you then.
See you then.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.